Hi, I'm Tanner Haley. I'm a team member for ADTEB Solutions, a term project for software application domain for spring semester 2019. For this class, we form groups, all tasked with making a product that meets the specified requirements given us to by Dr. Mamo. For this course, we had to create a web-based accounting software. The software should support populating a chart of accounts, generalizing transactions, populating ledgers, creating financial statements, and displaying computed ratios. We were required to prepare documentation for this project, which consisted of a software project management plan, software requirements specification, a software detailed design, and a test plan. Now I will showcase our website. Here's our login form. There are three different types of possible accounts: an accountant, a manager, and an administrator. The administrators are responsible for adding users and adding accounts to the system. In addition, they can view the event logs. The event logs track the changes that have occurred in the system. A manager has the ability to create journal entries as well as approve and deny those journal entries. The manager can also make a closing accounts entry for the end of an accounting period. Accountants just have access to creating journal entries. First, I will show off the administrator functionalities. I would first like to note that when entered wrong information into the login form, you will receive an error. Let's go ahead and enter the correct information. You'll notice our landing page is the dashboard. This dashboard displays the financial ratios for our accounts. These are calculated based on the accounts in the chart of accounts and the transactions that have been posted to the ledger for those accounts. The dashboards will display three different types of colors: green, yellow, and red. Green means that the ratio is in a good state. Yellow means that the ratio isn't in the best state, but it's not the worst state. You should look into this. Red means that the ratio is in a very bad state. You should definitely look into this. You'll notice at the top we have our menu bar. These display the functionalities that each type of account has. For the administrator, we have dashboard, chart of accounts, view logs, and the various things to deal with profiles. Let's take a look at chart of accounts first. Every type of user will have access to the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts are just accounts that are in subcategories depending on what type of an account they are. We have assets, liabilities, equities, expenses, and revenues. One thing that the administrator has functionality to is adding an account. Here, you can type in the account name and the account type and submit it to the chart of accounts. An administrator also has access to edit accounts by clicking that button there. Here, they can change the account name, the account type, and the account status. Here, you can disable them. This does not mean that they are erased from our database, but instead that it will no longer show up in the chart of accounts. Next, let's look at our profile page. Every user will have access to this profile page. Here, the information of the user is displayed, as well as a change password form and a set recovery questions form. All users will have access to do this themselves. Next, let's look at an administrator-only functionality, view/edit users. Here, a chart of all the users in the system is displayed. An administrator has access to edit these accounts. Here, you can set the account status, set account type, deactivate until a certain date. This functionality is useful if someone is on vacation. You want to deactivate their account for the time that they're on vacation. You can also update their personal information, and you can change their password in case they were to forget it. An admin also has the ability to add a new account. Here you will enter the username, first name, last name, email, and phone number of the new account. You'll select their account type and set their password and click submit. Let's do this. I'll set this account as an account. We do have password security and require one uppercase letter and one number. For this case, I'll use password 1. We click submit. We get a success message, and if we look up our account, you'll see it has been added to the chart of accounts, or the user accounts. The administrator also has the ability to view the logs. As I said earlier, these logs show the changes that have happened in the system. It takes a second to load all these logs since there's a lot going on. Here, you can view what has happened to certain accounts and what was done to them. We have added clickable links here that will bring you straight to the account so you can view what happened in this certain action. Here, Dave Manager generalized. He debited $200 to account 25 and credited $200 to account 1. We see over here that we can view the utilities expense. When we click this, it'll bring us to what change was made to the ledger thanks to this journal entry. We can see that on April 30th, there was a typed debit, $200, which was in our event logs. Here, after we are done with the administrator, we can click log out and we'll be brought back to the login form. These are all the functionalities of an administrator. I'm now logged in as an accountant. You'll notice that we are directed to the dashboard. This is the landing page for all account types. You'll notice that the menu bar has changed. We now have transactions, reports, and new journal entry instead of view logs. Let's look at our transactions. This is basically our general journal. A general journal consists of all the journal entries in a chart. Each journal entry has a date, a creator, a comment, and a status. Journal entries can either be pending, posted, rejected, or suspended. Pending, meaning that a manager has not approved or rejected this. Posted, meaning approved. Rejected, meaning that the manager has rejected the transaction. Or suspended, meaning that the transaction is incomplete or not submitted yet. When clicking on a transaction within the chart, you'll come up with the transaction information, the attachments that go along with the journal entry, as well as the accounts that were affected, their account type, how much they were debited, and how much they were credited. Let's go ahead and make a new journal entry. You'll notice that we can specify a date. You cannot select a later date, but you can select a previous date. You can also select the type of journal entry. You can also add files. When making a transaction, you select the account and whether you want to add it as a debit or a credit. In this case, we're going to add cash as a debit and accounts receivable as a credit. The software will not let you submit this until the debits and credits balances out, meaning that the difference between the debit and credit is equal to 0. If I were to debit cash $430 and credit accounts receivable $410, you'll notice that the total balance down here says -20, meaning that there's $20 missing from the credit side. We go down here, we can see our error message, and we will not be allowed to submit. When these numbers balance out, the error message goes away, and we are allowed to submit. We can also enter a comment. Let's go ahead and submit this. You'll notice we're brought to the pending transaction page. Here you can view all the pending transactions in the general journal. You can also click on these and get all the information as you did with the ones in the general journal. Journal entry also has the ability to be saved. For example, if we do another cash and accounts receivable, we can enter cash amounts and click save. This does not get submitted, so it is not up for being approved or rejected. But you can, however, load these, meaning you can pick up where you left off. Let's show off the reports now. Our reports consist of a trial balance, an income statement, a balance sheet, and a statement of retained earnings. You can select the date you want the trial balance to be generated. Trial balance is basically taking all the ledger account balances and adding them up based on their normal side and making sure that they're balanced, the debits and credits are balanced. As you can see down here, they are. You'll notice that the accounts on the left are blue, meaning if you click these accounts, you'll be brought to the ledger for those accounts. This will be a good time to mention that in the chart of accounts, you can also click on any account and be brought to the ledger for that account. A ledger shows all the journal transactions for that account, as well as the amount that was debited or credited, as well as the balance after that journal transaction. Let's go back to our trial balance. Here you can download. When you download a report, it gets generated as an Excel document, so that the accountant can easily work with the numbers if they want to. Let's generate our other statements. We'll do an income statement. An income statement is taking revenues and subtracting expenses. This will give you a net income or a net loss. In this case, we have $4,525 of a net income. You can also download this. Next, we'll show off a statement of retained earnings. Statement of retained earnings is taking your retained earnings account, adding the net income, and subtracting the dividends. In this case, our retained earnings after all this will be $4,525. You can also download this. Next, we'll do a balance sheet. A balance sheet shows our accounting equation. Assets are equal to liabilities plus equity. You'll notice that our total assets is equal to $26,270. And our total liabilities and owner's equity is $26,270. This means our accounting equation is correct. That is all the functionalities of an accountant. Next, we will do manager. Here we are logged in as a manager. You'll notice that our menu bar is very similar to the one for an accountant. In fact, they are identical. But there are two differences between an accountant and a manager. A manager has the ability to approve or reject transactions. If we go to our pending transactions page, we can see all the pending transactions. There's now approve or reject button. We can also go into this to view it and make sure everything is correct and approve or reject it from here. We'll go ahead and approve this one. And we'll reject this one. When approving a journal entry, the amounts in the journal entry will affect the ledger balances. When rejecting them, they'll get deleted and they will not affect the ledger balances. Another thing that a manager can do that an accountant cannot is close accounts. Up here, you'll notice a close accounts button. This is essentially creating a journal entry that will close out all the temporary accounts, meaning that they're going to be zeroed out. We'll notice this gets created as a normal journal entry where we can click it. We'll see right here that all our revenue and expenses are getting debited and credited. Our revenue is getting debited, meaning that we're going to be taking away from it, and our expenses are getting credited, also meaning that we're taking away from it. We'll notice at the bottom that we have our retained earnings being credited, meaning that this will be added to it. What this does is it takes your service revenue, subtracts all the expenses, and then whatever's left in the revenue gets put into the retained earnings. As a manager, we can also approve this. We'll go ahead and do this. You'll notice that it has gone from the pending transactions. If we go to our reports, we'll notice that all the revenues and expenses have been zeroed out, as there are no numbers there. We'll notice that our accounts are still balanced out down here. Those are the two major differences between a manager and an accountant.